welcome to the Niddcast with your hosts, myself, General Hatchet, Nordic Beast.
And Lacarthian.
You're supposed to say hello when I say Nordic Beast.
Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Nordic Beast.
So, it's all his fault.
And
I thought you forgot Lacarthian's name for a second.
every episode up until now, I've run through the introductions really fast, and Lacarthian has tried to say his name, but I block him out. So this time I was giving you plenty of time to say your name when I to say hello or something. So anyways, our guest this week is SalfordSal.
Hello.
You do YouTube, right?
I do. YouTube and Twitch.
Twitch too, okay.
Yeah.
And Lacarthian, if you didn't catch that, that's probably one of the worst, podcast intros in history.
Or the best, depending on how you look at it.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So, anyways, Sal, what have you been playing recently?
I've been playing an awful lot of stuff with Boris and Anubis particularly. So it's all things that you'll have heard of before. I was just looking over what I've been doing recently, and let's see if I can get this name right. It is Robot Roller Derby Disco Dodgeball.
Robot Roller Derby Disco Dodgeball.
I was streaming GTA and streaming Space Engineers with Anubis and Apple. I've been playing GTA roleplay with Boris and Apple and Anubis. I played 7 Days to Die with Lacarthian as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've played Space Engineers again. We've done but the one that you won't know about, you won't have seen anywhere on any of our channels yet, is we played the Sven co-op version of Half-Life, which is Half-Life being a game from the late 1990s, and the Sven co-op being allows us to play it multiplayer. Now, I missed Half-Life in the 1990s, so this is all new to me, and it's Anubis and myself, Apple and Boris. Apple and Boris both know exactly what they're doing and have spent a long time laughing at myself and Anubis derping trying to work out how to jump through a window. And probably the funniest bit was when they let me die 15 times. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, 15 times trying to jump from a window to a table before eventually Boris got fed up and decided to go and open the door.
Awesome.
So I will have an episode that going out of me just constantly dying and Apple totally losing it in hysterics because he thinks it's so funny. Every time I explode, my head falls off and he just finds this hilarious.
I have to say, Apple always has the funniest audio, whether he's laughing or screaming or
ranting
anything.
or whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Or putting on his try-hard face or whatever.
Yep, that's what I try hard. We've been doing quite a lot of stuff, but Space Engineers at the moment has been the big one for us. I had a very special episode today in Space Engineers, in fact, because Boris decided it was about time that he introduced me as an official Niddite. It's like, I'm now formally one of the gang.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you've been on the Nidd server long enough. You think it's about time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's because we have another new Niddite, another new Nidtuber who is on the whitelist for the Space Engineers server. And I think something must have triggered in Boris's brain that actually he'd never introduced me. So he'd written that there's a write-up on the discussions page. Minty Jones, please welcome Minty Jones to the whitelist. He'll be joining us and all this. And myself and Boris met with Minty today to introduce him to the server and to welcome him on board. And then Boris was like, "Yeah, I didn't do this for you, did I?" It's like, and to my audience, this is Sal. But my story with Boris and the Nidd goes back such a long way. I've been ever so slowly coaxed into the Nidd, because I first started broadcasting last October, and Boris, and I've never asked him how, but Boris somehow or other discovered me. I was pottering away in my own little world. I was playing single player, no interest whatsoever in multiplayer, and I was busy building a ship in a little space engineer's world, and I just branched out into doing prison architect, and I was doing my own little banished world and a few other little single player stuff. And what happened was Boris sent me a message through YouTube telling me about the Nidd and how he thought I might fit in, and was I interested in maybe meeting up with him and Anubis to see if we could do some recording. He thought we might get on, so he obviously saw something. Now, how he found me I don't know, because I think he was my 13th or 14th subscriber, so I was a tiny little channel, and I was getting maybe 20 views or something like that, yes, one of which was him. So yeah, I don't know how he found me, and I'd never asked him, and I must do that one day and find out. The other thing he put in, he's written a really nice, very, very long Boris-like email to me through YouTube, and he actually said, I hope with all these links I've sent you that YouTube doesn't mark me as spam, which YouTube blatantly did, because I never saw that message, and it was tucked away in my YouTube. I didn't even know YouTube had messages. I'd also been, I'd done a series of Ode to videos where I talked about the people on YouTube that I watched who had inspired me to get broadcasting myself and things. And one of the guys that I talked about was the Merry Gamer, who then promptly got in touch with me, followed me, which was a huge surprise. I built a ship in his name and everything. And then
Wow.
I said, because he started sort of chatting to me a little bit, I got a bit cheeky, and when he said about how he was maybe going to start a multiplayer space engineer thing in one of his videos, I'd been following him for a year or two at that point, so I put a little cheeky comment saying, well, if you want someone to mine for you, I'm available. And so he turned around and said, yeah, come on board. And I was absolutely blown away. This guy's like, it was, I had less than 20 subscribers. I think Boris had subscribed to me at that point, so I was maybe about 15, and Mary had 700 or something. It was like a huge YouTube channel as far as I was concerned. He was like prepared to multiplayer with me, so I started doing a multiplayer Space Engineers with Merry Gamer, and on our first recording session, Mary said one of the guys who was planning on making it couldn't make it, but he's got this other guy called Boris. And in our third episode, because there was a bit of a time zone miscalculation, true Nidd fashion, there was a time zone miscalculation. Boris turned up an hour late, and there's Boris. And Mary had introduced me at the start as being the one person in the multiplayer team. There was myself and Mary and Ace. And he said, and Sal is the person who knows how to play this game, because Mary and Ace didn't. They'd only played like an hour or two between them. And then Boris turns up, and Mary said, oh, Boris knows how to play the game better than Sal does, because Boris has played hundreds of hours. So the pressure was off at that point, which was good. After that session, in fact, Boris got in touch with myself and Mary and Ace and said, would anybody like to play in a UHC the next weekend, because or maybe it was a couple of weeks after that. Anyway, there's a Nidd UHC, and he talked to us about the fact that he ran this group called the Nidd, and both myself and Mary, being Minecrafters and being multiplayers and all the rest of it, would we be interested in going and being special guests? So I was up for it. I just started doing multiplayer stuff. I'd never played multiplayer Minecraft, and I thought, yeah, good excuse. And so I came and did a Nidd UHC as a special guest, and that was in February, the end of February. It was not long after that I discovered Boris's message in my spam box. At that point, it was about 3 months old.
Oh, jeez.
I gave Boris like a lot of apologies for having ignored him. And I was just...
How could you?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And now it's like, I mean, Boris is my glorious leader. And it's like, my God, I ignored his message for like 3 months. I didn't even know it was there. He was marked as spam. So we played Merry Friends series we got up to 56 episodes in the end. At one point, we started having issues with there just not being, with 4 of us playing, there just wasn't enough people to be sure that we were always going to have 4, because you need 4 in a series like that. And sometimes one or other of us couldn't make it. I've made all of them, I have to say. I'm proud to say.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So we invited Anubis along, because Anubis had started, myself and Mary had been streaming Minecraft, and Anubis had started hanging out in chat. So we kind of knew Anubis, and Anubis had helped me set up TeamSpeak, which still doesn't quite work. It's all his fault. And he'd helped me to set up TeamSpeak for UHC, so I sort of knew him a bit, and we chatted a couple of times. And I say, he'd hung out in chat, and I knew he was Boris's friend, and he just seemed like the kind of guy that, you know, the Merry Friends team would get on with. We were hosting it on one of the Nidd servers because we needed somewhere that was a little less laggy and a little more secure than Merry's own computer. The ties were slowly growing between myself and Merry and the Nidd. And then one day Boris sent me a message saying, would I like to join a recording of The Forest? And because we'd been talking about horror games and how I was with my jump scares and how I'm a proper squealer. He was saying about how they'd been considering adding extra people to The Forest anyway. Maybe I could join, and I might find it fun to go and squeal on there. So I joined The Forest. And the moment I joined, immediately it turned into an episode where nobody could get wood without my help. The only person who could get meat was Anubis, so I was always asking for Anubis's meat in the return for helping him with his wood. And I started building effigies, and I could never get enough heads. And the puns were, oh my god! I mean, it just loaned itself to it, you know.
My god.
So
yeah, and with Boris and Anubis, and how I know dude, their minds are immediately dirty. So.
Well, it broke the ice somewhat, because up until that point, in fact, up until Anubis joining Merry Friends, my channel had been quite PG, not by design, but just because we were serious space engineer builders. We were building a base, and we were building ships, and we were doing. It wasn't as a rude. In fact, at one point, I had made a bit of a ever such a slightly innuendo-laden joke, and Boris had told me off.
Really?
Wow, Boris?
Yeah,
Let's hope he doesn't edit that out.
Said, you can see this in my videos. I have video evidence of it. If he edits it out, then I'm gonna re-release that video with just that bit over and over and over again, where Boris says about how the Merry Friends series is the only series that isn't full of childish innuendo and immature jokes or something. I'm like, sorry, Boris. I'll behave. The very next.
He used dad powers
Totally.
on
And then, I mean, he totally did. And then the very next series, the next session that we recorded, Anubis joins, and all of a sudden we've got our connector is renamed "Give Me Your Stick of Stickiness," and every one of the containers in the base appears to be having an argument with the other containers about who is the hardest. And I was like, what? I had never, for all the hours I'd played with Boris at this point, because we were up to our mid-20s in the episodes, I had never seen this side to Boris. Boris had always been the really sort of mature, stable influence who sorted out all the crises and kept everything on a level, calm basis. I mean, this is not a Boris that you would recognise. But like I say, and then Anubis joined, and it changed. It changed so fast. I was I wasn't speechless. I had an awful lot to say about it, actually. Because the thing that struck me was just like, you told me off about this last episode. Why? How come you told me off? And now look at this. I was so shocked.
Which is funny because my first day on the season 2 Nidd server, I remember I'm building and Boris is like, "Are you sure this is are you sure this is where you wanna build on?" Meaning how immature they were being and how serious of a builder I can be.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, I'm good. I built an airplane in space. I think I fit in pretty well.
Yeah.
That's it. The soundbite that I used from that first session, because that we were all on, is when Boris says, "Spider-Man, may I have sex with your ship?"
Yeah, I remember that.
I used that soundbite in every one of my Nidd episodes ever since. I started recording with Boris and Anubis and Apple doing the forest, and then he invited me along to ask me to play Interplanetary. And I started to notice then that if he wanted me to do something, if I was umming and ahhing, he'd always say, "And Anubis is doing it too." There'd always be a sort of, "Oh, well, if Anubis is doing it, yeah, all right then, I'll do it." Yeah. It's because Anubis is such a derp. It's like, well, yeah, it's like if Anubis is there, then I know I'm not going to be chief derp. Or if I am, I'm going to be in good company. There's going to be someone as bad at whatever it is as me, which with Half-Life we've proven.
Which that's what I was going to say. By the way, I still have an original copy of Half-Life from 1998.
Wow.
Yes, I still have the first one. I bought it at a resale shop 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I still play it from time to time. That is such a fantastic game. I've never even heard of Sven. I hopped on Steam and I saw all you guys playing Sven. Yeah. I'm like, what the hell is Sven? So now I know.
It's the original Half-Life story. There's no changes to it. The Sven thing just allows us to play it co-op.
That's awesome. It's a fun game to get through. It's long though. I mean, though I haven't actually seen a playthrough.
Don't tell me. I don't even know how long it is. Don't spoil nothing.
Well, I won't give any actual time, like as far as what I've done. Oh, you're a spoiler.
I have absolutely no clue at all what to expect. Because of the look of the characters, I went into it thinking I was playing something like Quake, and I was very surprised to discover that actually there was a storyline. So I thought we were going to be running around an arena killing each other. I thought it was just like Quake, which is a game. Oh, that's a game I've played recently. Another old game I played recently.
I'm talking about the original Quake?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that was a fun game.
How old's the original Quake?
Again,
1996.
Wow.
1996, yeah.
And you can still play it now because Quake Live is the original 96 game.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to have to get my hands on that. Yeah,
you can get it through
I used to
Steam.
play it.
It's free to play.
What?
Free to play through Steam.
All right, I'm looking that up right now.
Yeah, I am too. To be honest, I never knew what Quake is.
Well, Quake was it's like Doom or Wolfenstein, but it was the first one. Instead of using sprites, it used actual 3D models. Scratch it. I don't know if it was the first, but it was one of the first first-person shooters to use 3D models, and it was good. It was really good, and the end boss was hard, really hard. It took a little intelligence to figure out how to beat him.
Well, Quake Live is the arena version rather than the story version.
Well, the gameplay always irritated me because if you knew what you were doing on online maps, there were certain spots you get caught where you couldn't get out because somebody would be pointing right where your head would be. And so you go to run by and pow, they get you right in the every time.
This is before the internet was available. So it was only ever sitting around the same TV screen.
Yeah, I'm aware. Me and my friend Paul used to play that, and he'd be like, "Yeah, let's play." I'd be like, "No, I don't want to play with you. You always pin the corner
because you're a sweaty tryhard."
I have no choice. I am a very competitive gamer. Very loud, angry, competitive gamer. Don't let my calm demeanor in most of my videos fool you. I've got threats to be grounded from the Xbox from my wife.
After playing all these different games with Boris, and then being dragged into GTA as well, where I am Apple's ex-wife, which was a bit of a surprise.
Huh.
Yeah, because
interesting.
I can't remember how I ended up playing GTA the role play with them. It was before I'd actually properly joined the Nidd, and Boris asked me if I wanted to choose my own role play character or whether they should choose one for me. I said, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. I've watched the series, but I didn't have a clue what he was thinking. Anyway, I said, no, you choose. And I was warned by one of the other two, or maybe even Mia, that was a very bad idea. But it didn't.
Never let Boris's imagination decide your fate.
But somehow or other, Boris decided that the funniest thing would be to make me Apple's ex-wife. Me and Apple got divorced on the grounds that I think I was having an affair with Boris, and so was Apple, and Apple was jealous.
Oh, that is glorious.
It was definitely about Apple being jealous of sharing Boris with me, or I divorced Apple because he wouldn't let me share Boris. There was something along those lines. Anyway, a couple of episodes ago, maybe an episode or two ago, it turned out that way back in the olden days, because of course the whole storyline about me and Apple being married, that was set in the 1990s. Apparently back then, 15 years ago, I remember Apple saying 15 years ago was a very long time ago, and now that he's much more free and easy with things, he doesn't mind sharing Boris with Anubis. But we then worked out that Boris had actually slept with everybody in the storyline except Anubis, at which point we all decided, well, who would want to?
Oh, poor Anubis.
Actually, guys, I kind of wish that wasn't Anubis, and I wish it was Mir, just so Mir could make the set. Oh, I guess I'll go now. Oh, this makes me so sad.
Well, Mia does have a role in the storyline because Mia is Apple's doctor, who has been repairing him for over the years, and Apple and Boris have a history because they were gay cops back in the 90s. When I was married to Apple, but they both retired. However, Apple looks very young for his age, and I must have been a child bride looking at me as well. But Boris has aged. But Apple has all these years has been haunted by the murder of Rabica the Elder, who was Anubis Rabica's grandmother.
Yes.
He wants to hunt down the murderer. We know that it has something to do with the X-Files, so we're always looking for something to do with UFOs. But he went and broke Boris out of retirement, and we've kind of got into this crime-ridden world of, and we're now trying to break Anubis Rabica the Younger's brother out of prison, but there is something that I don't fully understand yet about some sort of. I'm not sure whether he's also Rabica's uncle as well as brother. There's some sort of incestuous thing going on there. I'm not quite sure what it is. But yeah, you keep watching. These things will come out, but you never quite know where the storyline is going to go to next. It's GTA is a fabulous game for setting up a role play storyline because all the mechanics are there. Any number of things can happen with all of this going on, with all the gaming with them, and becoming drawn into this world. You know, I'm being more and more Boris-fied by the day. It got to a point.
Sorry. That's.
It got to the point a few weeks back where I think it was when I was about to put out my first video on GTA, and I contacted Boris. I asked him how does one become an official Niddite? I worked out what it was that I kind of felt like I was this shadowy figure that kept on cropping up in everything, and when he'd actually
No, that was me.
Well, when he had invited me to be a Niddite, you know, back in December or whenever it was, and I'd ignored him for 3 months, and it never raised again since, and I'd just been playing all these games with him, and I thought I really should I wanted to be part of the gang. I wanted to sort of be an official Niddite. So I asked him how does one become an official Niddite, and I didn't really know what I was asking, and he didn't know what I was asking either, because like I didn't realize that it was just an open Steam group and all you had to do was press join. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was like some a secret handshake or something. I needed the permission of Apple, or there was going to be some sort of vote or veto or something. I had no idea. And he was like, I think you've just become one. With his answer, it's like, it's an open group. You just press the join button. So I went to Steam and I found the button and I pressed the join. But because I'd obviously confused him with my question. He was saying, do you mean you want to be like a Nidtuber? Do you want to be part of the YouTubing group of Niddites? Because that is a smaller, more closed community. And do I want my videos to be on the Nidd playlists? And he says, so all he has to do is ask the other Nidtubers whether or not they're happy with that, and he knows they would be because I play with them all anyway. And I was like, yeah, I guess, I don't know. All I know is I want to be a Niddite because I like you all, and you're all sort of such fun people, and I kind of want to tell people that I'm one of you. But yeah, it turned out that what I wanted was to be able to press the join button on Steam, and I didn't know that. I've started naming my streams on Twitch either Midnight Niddite or Afternoon Niddite or something like that. And,
I like Midnight Niddite. That's good.
Yes, Midnight Niddite.
And the other one that I liked as well was Twilight Niddite, for when I started doing it just before.
Oh, yes.
See, that would be a great YouTube name. The Midnight Niddite.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll use that for mine.
Oh, well, it's an open name. Feel free. I'm not precious about it at all.
So General, we were gonna
talk about E3.
Yeah,
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead. My bad. I don't want to give you the wrong impression. It's not like I'm excited or anything.
I can't play it. I can't play it.
What? Why not?
I can't play Fallout. Because I have reoccurring nightmares about being chased by dinosaurs.
Oh, yes,
and a little bit of this.
Mir told me about this. Yes.
Because then we got distracted by Anubis's giant head.
Oh yeah, Anubis's giant head. I know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I do. I have, because I told Mia, and then all of a sudden everybody knew about my fear. Oh, it's not that I'm afraid of dinosaurs. I'm not. It's just that I have bad dreams about being chased by dinosaurs. So I do try and avoid them. Playing video games and watching films. That seems to be the two things that brings on the nightmares. At which point, Boris immediately started listing games that he thought we could play. It's like, no.
So I'm assuming Ark isn't
no,
in
it's
your...
not in my library. Neither's Orion Prelude.
I gotta say, my wife walked by me and I'm like, she said something. I had to lift up my earphones to hear what she said. And she heard what I just said about Anubis's giant head, and she's like, "Hey, at least we know he can give good head." But in reality, it was Mir.
It was.
So apparently, Mir can give some good head. And now we have descended down. So back to E3. Do you guys know anything else about some of the E3 releases?
Not much besides Fallout 4. I think that was the big one for today, at least. I should note that we are just recording this after the first day of E3, so that something big could come out later that we won't be talking about in this episode. But yeah, Fallout 4. I haven't played it personally, or I haven't played any Fallout game personally.
What?
Yes, I
He's afraid to
No, you stop recording and you go and you start at Fallout 1 right now. You are grounded until you are done playing these games. Holy shit. I didn't know people existed that hadn't played Fallout.
I've never played a Fallout
game. That's a personal offense to me. That's what that was.
Which is kind of strange, because I'm into the whole post-apocalyptical survival games. So it's kind of weird that I haven't played a Fallout game. But anyways, now I know Fallout 4 is in Boston, right?
Yes, it's going to be in Boston. It's in an area that's referred to as the Commonwealth. It's kind of a mix of northern New England England area and Canada, which is supposed to be largely untouched by the nuclear war. And there was supposed to be a lot of technologically advanced things there. One of the storylines in... I can't remember if it was 3 or New Vegas. Anyway, you find out a guy's actually an android. He's a robot, and he doesn't know it. He's been programmed not to know it. And people from the Commonwealth are trying to find him. And you can either kill those people or turn them in or whichever. It's just part of the mission. But yeah, you find out they're extremely advanced. And it's kind of a nod towards the movie Blade Runner. If any of you have ever seen Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie. Yeah, it looks like a really good area. I watched little clips of it recently, and it looks like the character creation is far more detailed than the previous ones. I saw jump jets for the T-45 armor. Holy shit, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of sci-fi in general, and I've always liked the idea of jump jets. If you've ever read the actual book of Starship Troopers, the reason they're called the mobile infantry is because they're in powered armor that have jump jets, and so they kind of leapfrog as they move across the city, and which they totally omitted from the crap movie, but that's just my opinion. But so when I saw that, I was like, so excited. And they showed tons of gun customizations. Like they showed like a laser rifle, and it showed like the basic one, and it went down like a scroll list that showed all the adjustments and add-ons you can build onto the weapons, which looks amazing. And it also looks like in VATS, which for Hatchet, who doesn't know what VATS is, it's like you have a computer on your wrist. It's called a Pip-Boy, and it's kind of like your menu screen, but in game it also helps with targeting. So it turns a first-person shooter into partially turn-based. So you can stop and it pauses the game, and then you can kind of target. So if you're not very good at first-person shooters, it helps with that. Like it allows you to auto-target and things like that. With that, your followers, you can now tell them what to do while using your VATS, which is a huge difference from the previous ones. You just kind of told them what to do, and they just kind of ran around willy-nilly shooting at shit, and half the time they would die or get you killed or something. They were pretty terrible. So it looks like the companions are going to be much better too.
I've always thought Fallout was more of just a first-person shooter, but it's more tactical than...
Well, the first two, Fallout 2, and also Fallout Tactics is another game in the series that's considered canon and rather popular, because there was also Fallout Brotherhood that was pretty bad, and nobody considers that even part of the series. But those three, Fallout 2 and then Tactics, they were all three-quarter view, like top-down, turn-based RPGs. So they weren't even... Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
Fallout 3 was a huge boost compared to the old ones. But the old ones, for the date that they came out, 97, 98, and 99, I think it was, in a row, they were massive. They were unbelievable. But, in a different way.
Well, it's starting to get late in the podcast time, so we'll start wrapping this up. Thank you all for watching. We'll do some shameless self-promotion here. We'll start with you, Nordic.
Oh, yeah. Just, Google Nordic Beast, and you'll find my YouTube channel. Just ignore the crappy Norwegian band of the same name. All they do is they cover 80s glam rock songs, and not in a good way either. So ignore them. Just look for Nordic Beast, and shameless plug. All right.
All right, Sal.
Yep, I am. YouTube is SalfordSal. My Twitter is @SalfordSal. My Twitch is tv.salfordsal. I'm SalfordSal. You can find me just about everywhere.
Okay.
And with a name like that, that's pretty unique. It's pretty easy to find that.
Yeah. And Lacarthian, you don't have anything, do you?
No, I'm debating whether I want to.
Though he actually recently recorded with me and Dracul not too long ago.
Oh, he did. Okay, so we keep your eye open. You might see a YouTube channel titled Lacarthian or something like that in the future. So, anyways, thank you all for watching. We'll catch you possibly in 2 weeks, like we're supposed to, but there's a good chance that we might not.
If somebody can't make it, me and Lacarthian are still here. Lacarthian's always here.
Yeah,
that's very true. Sometime in the future, it'll be an episode with only Lacarthian.
Aww.
I was worried that's what it was going to be like at one point.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you around.
Bye.